So this is part 2 of my Vietnam travels. This is the sketchbook I did during traveling. And it was really fun to compare the two. You can watch the other one in part 1, where I did a sketchbook before my travels. And this one is during, and then to see what I actually saw and what I had to draw on location and how reality came and made everything different, but also very nice. So this is a stamp from Vietnam, some florals I saw in a vase, and I also always like to integrate typography. So I just did this travel in 2018, quite some time ago already, in December. Yeah, and here's some money. And then also my itinerary I wrote down. And again, a map and some jewelry. Yeah, and that was my very first day in Ho Chi Minh City. I was quite overwhelmed by the traffic, by the scooters, by just traffic. Like crossing a street in Vietnam is like a science in itself, but once you master it, you can cross any city, any street in any city. What made me a bit sad was that they put songbirds, wild birds in cages. Of course, the cages look very nice, and the songbirds make nice songs, but they must suffer and they are alone, and the wild birds are decimated. Yeah, very sad. And then I just put in some things I saw on the first days, like food and drinks, and yeah, just the cityscape and a naked dog. They are from Mexico though, not from Vietnam. And yeah, my second day, more food. I don't eat crabs, and back then I think I was a vegetarian, and it was quite hard. So I ate like water spinach all day, because back then there wasn't that many vegetarian options for tourists. I think if you are like fluent in the language, you might find more, but for me it was a bit hard. We went into the museum in Ho Chi Minh City. Yeah, it was interesting, like this history of the war and the Vietnam War, and seen from the side of the Vietnamese. Yeah, it was interesting to have that shift in perspective. And this is of course Ho Chi Minh. Then we went to Mui Ne. I'm sorry if I pronounced the places wrong. It was kind of a beach resort, and I did lots of windsurfing there. I didn't. I just jumped into the waves, and we did a beautiful hike through a red river where you could actually walk in the river, and it had this beautiful red dunes, and I saw this bird, which I was very happy about. Then we went to Nha Trang, where we did snorkeling, and I saw a few fish, some of those. Sometimes I just draw a fish that might be any fish, like this kind of fish, I don't know. It's just a stereotypical fish. And we did it just after a thunderstorm, so the corals were a bit broken. I don't know if it was because of the thunderstorm or because of global warming. Hopefully they're better now. Yeah, and a beautiful ship. Then we went to Hoi An. There's a famous bridge there, which I liked very much, and lots of imagery of dragons and I think phoenixes, and I really liked the typography of this, how it worked. And then Hoi An by night was really, really beautiful, like all those lampions, and in Hoi An there's no cars, so it's more quiet and just boats, and I really love the atmosphere there. Very picturesque. Then we went to a nature reserve, Mison, I don't know, I'm sorry. And we saw all temples there and all the statues they have and lots of plant life. There's an actual plant here. And then we went by a sleeper bus over the so-called Cloud Pass. I don't know if it's the English name for it. And you could really feel the change in climate. Like before it was colder and then it got really warmer afterwards. And so we visited friends there. They had a lovely garden with lots of plants in Hue. And we went into a restaurant and like they could tell us everything, and then I could eat like lots of yummy vegetarian food because they could explain what I wanted to the people in the restaurant, and oh, it was so nice. And we went into the Forbidden City, like a big palace, very interesting. Tianmu. And then we went to see more nature and butterflies and caves, really amazing caves. We saw water buffaloes and water birds. And then I went to a museum and just drew all the statues there. Like this actually was a much bigger statue of a god with many hands, and I just drew the hands. I didn't have time to draw all the rest of the statue. And lots of people came and watched me draw and gave me the thumbs up. And yeah, we didn't have a common language, but we had a common understanding. They really liked it. Then we went to Hanoi. There's a little island in a lake in the middle of the city, which is really nice, a temple. And in there is a puppet theater. And I watched the theater. It was so amazing. Like really cool puppets they had. And there was a temple of literature. And a monk. Actually, this is a statue of a monk. It's not a real person I saw. Dusty ears. And more nature and birds. And as you can see, like this was just in between somewhere, and I didn't have much time. So those pictures on the road are always not so finished as those you can draw at home in peace and quiet. Then I went to Halong Bay. So there's people living on boats there and on platforms that float in the water. And you have those amazing rocks. And this is Trasu. And I actually can't remember quite. Obviously I saw people on boats selling things, but I actually can't remember. Sometimes it's sad that you draw these pictures and you don't really remember the place, and sometimes you remember it better because you drew it, but it's not always the case. And then I went on a birding tour, and I saw those two, but I saw lots of other birds, and I really liked it. This is a temple again, but it's I think it's more Hinduistic. I'm not sure if it's really Hindu, but more in that direction. Should write more notes. And then I was kind of locked in by a tropical thunderstorm, and I couldn't go out of the hotel, so I just ate fruit all day. Very yummy, rambutan, love it. And I had a gecko in my room, and he was very loud. He was like this big, but he was louder than a person. He made those sounds. And it drove me nuts because he did it at night and I couldn't sleep. But he's beautiful, beautiful guy. So yeah, I was locked into the hotel. I drew some pictures of graffiti I saw. And I think this was actually a bag of a fish. And some masks I saw in the museum. I think this is also a picture of a graffiti I saw. Then I went to a zoo and it was a bit depressing because the animals were depressed. Yeah, perhaps not the best country to go into zoos. And this is an image from the tiger beer. And fighter and dragon. You don't call it dragon in English, you call it a pipe, I think. Yeah, those things on a string that you fly in the air. And then I had a really lovely photo of mushrooms. Lots of different mushrooms, I didn't know, but it was very, very nice. And I think in that year or around about there was a film. It was called Same Same but Different, and that's why I wrote it down, and it plays in Vietnam. Some flowers I saw, some unfinished sketch of something or other, more unfinished sketches. This is a big huge tree. I love those huge trees, but they're very hard for me to draw. Oh, it's this way around actually. And that's it. I made some typography in pencil, but you can hardly see it. My Vietnamese phone number, but it's no longer valid because it was in 2018. And that's it. That was my travels in Vietnam. I hope you enjoyed it.